Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. All right, get your credit cards out. You have the chance to bid on probably one of the most historic GMT 1675s out there. It's coming up for auction this month. In fact, you can bid on it now, but the auction ends the 25th of October. And let me tell you about this piece. It's, as I said, a GMT 1675, and it is one of the first Rolexes in space, and it's only the second ever space GMTs to be sold. The first having sold 15 years ago, being purchased by Rolex and going for $131,000 and change. This particular example was worn by Commander Edgar Mitchell, and it looks to be unpolished, original bezel insert. It's got an engraving on the back to his daughter Carlin. And is it going to fetch more than 131,000 USD? It already has. It's already surpassed that, and it's estimated to go up to 400,000 USD. Now, a lot of people think of the Speedy as the moon watch, and it was for obvious reasons, but many astronauts really like the GMT. And you know, there was some concern that the automatic component in the movement of the GMTs wouldn't work in space, but actually it turns out they work really well. I guess that zero gravity just makes that rotor go around and around. If anything, I would be afraid it would go around too much, but you know, those can't be overwound, so no big deal. But quite a few GMTs went to space, and I mentioned one, Evans GMT, which again was purchased by Rolex. Now here's the bad news. Rolex is probably gonna buy this, so you're gonna have to compete with Rolex. They bought Captain Warren's GMT, link in the description if you haven't seen that video, and me crying, because I cry in it, which is kind of weird. But Rolex is actually buying these GMTs. All right, sorry about that. I had to catch that train. All right, so these watches are being bought by Rolex, and link in the description to this video. I mention in it how Rolex, up until recently, wasn't very interested in its history. Well, that's been changing, and they've bought a lot of these historic Rolex watches, like Captain Warren's watch, and the very first GMT moon watch that sold, and they're almost certainly going to buy this watch too. So the question is, what are they going to do with them? Well, we can only cross our fingers that at some point in the future they're going to open a museum. I mean, they could do an absolutely mind-blowing exhibition of historic Rolex watches, you know, the evolution of the brand. It would be a pilgrimage for many watch fans, myself included, to go to Switzerland, Geneva, and check out these watches in person. So I hope they don't just stay in some vault at Rolex. Now, another interesting aspect is where these astronauts got the Rolex watches, and link in the description to a great article by my friend Danny at Cornet, and he makes a good case that they were given these watches because the serial numbers are very similar. In fact, of the two watches that I've mentioned, Evans' watch and Mitchell's watch, the difference in the serial number is only 49. So a batch was probably sent to the States, and they were given to these astronauts for probably research purposes. That's a great story, so check that out. Friends, watch friends, well-heeled watch friends that I've met in the flesh, you might want to think about going for this one because it's a beautiful example. You can't get much more historic than that, and now this is the kind of watch that I think in the future will just increase in value. But again, the bad news is you're going to have some competition with even deeper pockets than you probably do, and that's Rolex. So get your credit card out, make sure the limit is high, and let me know if you win against Rolex. Take care, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.